Hello everyone, it's Sloth here, and today we are going for our favorite archetype, Dimir Control. Uh, but with a lot of twists. So this is not deck I've created, so this is Daniel Kreuzberg, like qualifier deck, and it's like completely different from what I usually build. And this was one of the reasons that I wanted to try it out, and this deck has a lot of different choices than I would do, which is something to consider and something I really like about the deck. It tries to use the Yahenni Expertise because, like with the 3 drops, because the big issue with the control decks is after you sweep the board, you give the initiative to the enemy because you are tapped out completely and you just used your best card in the matchup. So the enemy just plays new creatures, especially if they are smart, they usually save at least 2 or 3 creatures that they rebuild the board and you are in the same spot as before. However, with this card, you can play, for example, Narset the same turn, or draw another card, and next turn, without paying any mana, you can draw another card. So it really helps with addressing all the threats from the enemy, and like you will see, we have a lot of answers. And also we have this Svyelun of Sea and Sky. This is card that I was really surprised, but in the end it's a 3 mana drop that is 3/4 and draws cards after it attacks. So it doesn't have to hit anything, it just gives you card automatically. And you will see in the games, this card, like the fact it has 4 toughness is such a big deal, especially for a 3-drop, and obviously that's also a combo with this because it doesn't die to Yahenni Expertise, so in a way it's perfect stats. And you can play it after casting Yahenni Expertise, so suddenly you have the board and the enemy doesn't. And frankly, generally this creature is better than the other 3-drops, like in overall power, unless enemy has some chained deck abilities, counters, synergies, and so on. So that really gives you enemy like real brick in the wall that he has to think about. And if the enemy doesn't answer it, you just draw cards. And if you have answers to the enemy creatures, you just use it as a card draw to give you more answers. And suddenly it's not so good for the enemy. Alright, so that was one of the things. But we have a lot to go through because that's a very unique deck. And I actually enjoyed playing it. I hated the mana base, and this deck has been modified by me a bit. I tried to not change like main things, so this, for example, is something I wanted to change, but I tried. Maybe it's good, and I must say it was good. It really helped save some games, but the mana pool in first games I struggled to play any untapped land for the first 4 turns. So I actually lost the game because of it, just because I couldn't play a 3-drop because I had a tap land, and on turn 4 I was forced to use better plays. So I changed, so I reduced the Fetid Pools a bit, it was 3 I believe, I increased Drowned Catacombs, and I also, I think, removed one of them or something like this. So, oh no, Hall of the Storm Giants, because there were 2 of them. And I just felt it's a bit too clunky early game, and early game is usually when the control is the weakest, so I really didn't want to make it even weaker. And with 2 mana colors, I felt we are okay. Obviously, Archmage Charm is very demanding, but like you can go with the original list, but I really felt better when I removed some tap lands. Okay, going back into the deck. Some big thing that's easy to miss, commit and memory. So we have this small combo for everyone that doesn't know. First part is just a counter spell with the bounce, but the memory aftermath, after you use the commit, you have it in the graveyard, and for 6 mana everyone shuffles all the graveyards into the library and draws 7 cards. Obviously, if you have Narset, they cannot draw more than 1 card a turn. So in reality you are getting 7 cards, and the enemy is getting 1 card, and that's usually enough to win the game because you cycle all the value from the deck that you have been using, and suddenly you have 7 cards to the enemy 1. So as long as the board is quite empty, you are in such a huge advantage. And spoiler alert, but you will see it in action. So watch the game because it was amazing, and yeah, I'm pretty sure you will like it. I loved it. And this is pretty much a win condition. So it's one mana counter spell that also acts as a win condition, especially that we want to play Narset anyway because of Yahenni. So it's not like we add Narset just for this small possibility of combo. Other than this, we have Shark Typhoon, we have Ashiok because Teferi is different colors, let's be honest. If we had white, that would be Teferi. We have Search for Azcanta because it's good overall, especially in slower matchups. We have some hand hate. I didn't use it a lot and it can hurt you, so that's something to think about. I get the idea that's a very powerful card, so you can experiment with it. And one Cling to Dust because, let's be honest, you need some kind of graveyard hate, especially with the commit, because in a way you can remove cards from the deck of the enemy before you start using memory, so you can prepare for this reroll of library. So even without Narset, you can think about eliminating the best card for the matchup from the enemy deck by Cling to Dust, and then you just reroll, and by default you have best cards for the matchup in your library, and you can even exile the cards that are crap. So for example, in control matchups you don't want this most of the time, or like Fatal Push, so you can just exile them and suddenly your deck is full of counter spells, Narsets and Shark Typhoons. So things to play around. God-Eternal Kefnet is one of, and it was surprisingly good. I must say that it really provides value, and the fact that it's 4/5 flyer that cycles itself when it dies is really a big threat for the enemy, and he needs to keep it on the radar. So that's a good way to force enemy into some answers, and if he doesn't, this really can take over the game in like 2 turns. We also have some small synergies. So for example, Fetid Pools can cycle. So you can cycle on the enemy turn, and this counts as a drawing of a card. So for example, you have, I don't know, 4 mana, you use Fetid Pools as a cycling, and you draw whatever, even Yahenni Expertise, because it gets 2 mana reduction, so you can suddenly cast it as an instant. And you can also cast another spell with value 3 or less. Of course, it's not like super solid combo, but those are the options that might happen. And watch the video. Watch the video. Anyway, Drown in the Loch is strange. I must say it was useful in the games, but I have like weird feelings about this. Early game, it's often a crap, and yeah, like if the enemy doesn't play into it early game, it's just empty turn 2. So it's more of a mid game card, I would say. Yeah, you can experiment with this. I kept it and it was useful, but I felt that it was a bit luck involved. If the enemy played a bit differently, it just wouldn't do anything, and we need some kind of early game. Fatal Push is good for this, so that's some saving grace because you can interact very nicely, and it goes well with the Fabled Passage, Field of Ruin, and even Narset, because let's be honest, everyone wants her dead when she's on the board. So at some point, believe me, you will revolt, especially with the Shark tokens. So that's it, that's the deck, and I think you can try it, especially if you don't play this kind of control. It's refreshing and it's a different approach than what we usually do. The only gripe I have is you actually pay some price for this Yahenni Expertise upside. There will be very often creatures that are bigger than 3 toughness. So you need to think in advance how you will deal with them if you draw a sweeper. So yeah, something you really need to play around. So that's a cool sweeper, but at the same time, it's not really perfect sweeper, and you need to put more work than usual. Ritual of Suit, and you just play it, and everything is dead by. You need to think about it in advance. So I guess that's everything, and really thank you for watching. Everyone that subscribed, you're really cool dude, and I really thank you. And if you like the videos, always subscribe and like, and it really helps motivate myself. So really thank you for everyone that did it and enjoy the games. Okay, this is actually a very good hand. Not the perfect one. It's never perfect, but very close because we can remove something very early. So I expect a Surveil creature. And this comes untapped, and this comes untapped, so we can play everything untapped in the end. So no reason to play it first. Oh, interesting. Okay, and there was a reason to play it first, because we could hit the blue land and cast it on turn 3. But yeah, let's do it like this, and I think it's good enough. The enemy doesn't seem very aggressive. Oh, so it's Jeskai. That changes a lot. I assume this is some kind of Phoenix deck, but, well, they don't play this usually. But you know, in Gold people can play it. So hard to judge. So I guess it doesn't really matter which one we will take. And I think we check for counterspell. Do you have it? Do you have it? Yep, I do have it. But still, it's 1-for-1, and we wouldn't be able to counter anything anyway, so we don't really lose anything. So the only point would be to bluff that we have a counter spell ready. And bluffing very often doesn't really work in this kind of ranks. I noticed people just don't play around things too much. I will keep the Cling to Dust. Yahenni is pretty much useless in this matchup. Okay, maybe not perfectly useless because he has Castle and at some point we'll have 3 or 4 tokens that we want to remove. But other than this, yeah, it's pretty useless. We want to draw a card, and this might matter because if we use memory somehow, enemy has 1 counter spell less. Okay, and we aren't as lenient with Narset as before. Tokens will be a problem. Like, he will make a token even at the end of this turn, so we really need to get our Field of Ruin. We're at 20, so we have time, but it will start to be pressing matter. Do they have another counter spell? We can wait a turn, and I think we will, because next turn we can use counter spell as well, and that is quite huge. They might also play into something, so we have token, we will remove it at the end of the enemy turn, just to protect Narset better. We could do it now, but let's be honest, if he counters Fatal Push, that's good for us, so one more reason to... Like, okay, we lose 1 more HP, but I think at 20 it's acceptable. Even though in the late game it will matter a bit. What do you say? I say remove your token. Yeah, that's what they want. They want trade tokens for cards, so not perfectly great for us. So we play it on blue, that's for sure. We could make a token. This would force them to do something, but I still think Narset is better. They have tap land. This means they cannot double counterspell unless one of them is 2 mana. And they don't have tokens, so if they don't counter, if they counter, they cannot make a token. So I think overall, it's very good for us.
There are so many mysteries.
Now the question. They do have Helix probably. With those colors you would be crazy to not play Helix. And drawing cards? Pretty important in this matchup. However, they can just wait it out and push us with the tokens. So I think we still should draw even if he kills it. Just because we are on the lower amount of counter spells right now. Drown in the Loch isn't good now, but it will be amazing later, so let's take the other one. So that was the point. Yeah, sure. Enemy will... what will the enemy? Just a moment. I'm thinking about the next turn, because he will attack, and then if we remove the token, then we cannot counter spell. So that's awkward, and I think we need to get 1 damage. And we just sack 1 card for it. So it gives us a bit room with the tokens. Sure. So what is the play here? I think making a Shark Typhoon token. 1/1. I would really prefer 2/2. I think we go big. We go just 4/4. The enemy plays something, but then we cannot counter it. That's not great. And we need Fatal Push for this horse. So that's actually a very valuable card. Wow, that pronunciation. That's not the best position. I think we need to use 1 of them just to protect Narset and leave her at 1. Like, this castle is a pain in this matchup, because we are all the time forced to answer something during like the turn, like attack phase. And Narset is too important to just give up. We could also go all in and let them, but he has full mana open. Like, he has Teferi probably, maybe even Shark Typhoon, depending on how he plays. So, like, even Hullbreaker Horror. So that's not exactly how we want to play. I think we should do it like this. For 1. It sucks. I would much rather have it for 2, but then we cannot counter, so it's not great to lower the shield against full open mana from the enemy. That's generally not how we want to play. And the fact that we didn't draw with the Narset gave us, as we said, a little bit of breathing room. Okay, and now they can only play instants. They won't really want, like, they don't generally want to play the Hullbreaker into our turn. So I think we need lands, we need answers, so let's play it like this. I whip about additional counter spell. This is premium card, but we cannot just, you know, not do anything and wait. We need to keep it going. And if we hit like memory thing with the Narset, that can be very easily a win condition. So what is the deal here? Unfortunately, the deal is that probably we'll just lose Narset right now and go into full control game. We can remove the token, but I don't want to waste Fatal Pushes. And all it does is just give another turn for us, and at some point we still lose Narset. And, well, there's a reason Castle is very strong in control matchups. Especially with 2 Halls of the Storm Giants, so we cannot really waste our removal. Because it's 0 converted mana cost, so perfect answer is just 1 mana. Remove something with low cost. Okay, enemy is thinking right now. Like, we could save Narset, we could steal the tokens, kill the stuff, but then we lose in the long game for sure, because we use everything just to counter the tokens. So that's totally not where you want to be in the control matchup. Yep. And if there's no Narset, then we can start accumulating small damage over time, so we can sweep from time to time, and, you know, that gives us a lot of time, and tokens don't matter as much without the Planewalker. And at some point, he has to play something, I think, so we can use Cling to Dust. Yep. Bathe in your glory, my friend J. Akel. Yeah, I think he cannot believe in his happiness that he finally got her. Like, I think we have 2 more Narsets, so it's possible that we use one of them as a combo piece, so it's not on the board, easy to counter, but it will be hard, it will be very hard. Enemy didn't use single spell, yeah, it was just countering 1 Narset and that's it. So 1 spell in all those turns. Okay, we are getting there, slowly but surely. Interesting, so the enemy idea, I guess, is to make tokens and see what we do. And in reality, that's the correct approach, because you have to answer them at some point. But we have Field of Ruins, so all we need is just to find it and get rid of the castle, and then we are back into the completely even game, and then the enemy might be forced to do something. Okay, so next turn I think we sweep. It leaves us with 1 counter spell, so that's not great. But what you gonna do? We could maybe wait 1 more turn, but then it's 4 damage and it's a bit much, but maybe we will see. We need to draw into something, you know, like Field of Ruin. It's in the deck for a reason. Yeah, this is exactly the reason. Azcanta would be pretty good, because they have to counter it. I think, yeah, I think they have to counter it. I'm not sure what the enemy... oh, yes, exactly this. Exactly what I meant. It's so nice the enemy has it. So, as I said, you need to counter it. It's too big and we don't have 2 Field of Ruins, so we can answer only 1 round. The enemy is very smart, I must say. He knows it's useful, it's something enemy has to counter, but it's not like exactly the main thing that you need in the game. So, let's go for it. Finally we have something. Okay, this might matter, so let's get rid of the least important stuff. I think it's Narset. If we use memory... oh, never mind. Not the best play I would hope for, but it gives us a bit of gas and maybe enemy reacts in it. Probably not. He's only on 5 mana and he needs counter spells. Okay, it helps a bit. Not really. So, do we take 4 more? Seems like it. Or we can just play it. We can invest 1 of them. So we start from 1 again. We won't paint this land. Oh! Pretty interesting. Okay. So, we could use our commit. But I don't think we want. Okay, so 1 counter spell is down. Interesting that he has chosen this line. So it means he wants to win by just creatures. And it also cost him 1 token, so we still got 1 damage less. Okay, so good to know. The enemy have chosen that they try to kill us with the tokens. Yep. That's a very good card draw. We could use 1 of those. And the enemy smartly have waited until we use Cling to Dust on something else. But in some time we can use it again, so enemy has some window between now where we cannot use it and like us having 6 cards in the graveyard. So pretty interesting direction. Okay, that's something we can cycle, but that will be at the end step. So, do you invest another counter spell in the anti-sweeper? Okay. We respectfully decline and get smorged by 1 token again. Like at some point I think we should hit the Field of Ruin. We are nearly half into our deck. So each draw is higher chance than the before. See? Like full statistic mode. Yep. Enjoy. I think he wants to like soften us up with the tokens, and in the end he assumes that the Hall of the Giant will like finish us when we are below 7. So we cycle this and we still get to see another card. Like we aren't on the strong side of the draws, to be honest. Those are more like filler cards for this matchup. Like it gives us time, but it doesn't really provide anything new. So let's cycle and see what we get. Narset was very good, but with Castle it's not nearly as good as it should be normally. Sure. So, what do we do? At this point I think we can start defending with the Hall. I don't think they want to kill it on their turn, paying the ward cost. Yep, the castle from her. Like, yeah, I also very often included this card just for this kind of matchup, because it simply does help quite a lot. So we won't be using Fatal Push Revolt. He has only 0 cost creatures, so we can as well use it right now. And yeah, we can still counter spell. So I do think it's fine because it really slows the game, like this game plan that the enemy has. So we both pay mana every turn just to cancel each other, like, you know, Hollywood style. And with the ward we shouldn't be super behind in tempo if enemy wants to like do something to Hall. Okay, and they waited for it. They did wait for it. So we can do this. Let's use this mana just to bluff that we have another counter spell, because that's not what he wants to do. Like get hit by another counter spell after he uses his counter spell. Yo, okay. And he still wants the shield up, which is pretty respectable. Okay, so we can use Ashiok. How good is Ashiok? Not as good as Teferi, that's for sure. We could use Cling to Dust. But to be honest, probably Memory is better for us than for the enemy. So I don't really think he will want to use it. However, we won't really get better chance to cast this guy, so we might as well do it. Of course we pass, and let's expect removal at the end step, so token is all we have, probably. But you know, we are fighting, we have the spirit. Okay, so it's still the Gearhart deck? That would be weird, because they usually are extremely aggressive at the start. So what he uses, Gearhart, and then he targets it. So then we can respond with Cling to Dust, which is nearly the same as Counterspell, but nearly a bit better. Then they have to counter it. I could do it in the end step, but then we are completely like screwed if he plays something. Okay, so What he will do? Probably use it on Ashiok, the -3. Unless he has the answer to Ashiok, then he +1. Deals with the answer and protects the fairy. So I think correct choice is this, because even if he somehow defends him, he's tapped out completely, or nearly completely, and we can remove the defenders. We also have memory right now. Yep. But it's not really a game-ending spell. Like, it gives him a lot of small things. But Ashiok... Ashiok is still fine. It's at 1 HP, I believe. Because it's 4 damage, then this gets tapped. And he attacks for 1. And let's get black. Because we can. And maybe we will use it. Who knows? So do we kill something? We can decide later. We won't be using 2 for sure. They don't really have like the 1 damage spell. They won't playing Spike Field Hazard or anything like this, so it's at least 2 damage, I believe. Most likely 3. They should be playing Helix with those colors. How important this 1 damage is? I don't think it is. So enjoy your 1 damage. Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Hello there. Oh man, I'm so happy right now. Oh, I'm so happy. I don't even care if that wins us the game or loses. I will do it. Oh, my heart is so filled with joy right now. Yes, the moment. That was the MTG moment, you know. Oh yes, good. Good. And we still have 3 mana. Not sure for what, but we have it.
I have just the trick for this.
Do we do it? I think we do. The problem is with the halls. We cannot really defend them very well this turn. But we can remove the other creatures and yeah, and then block with the shades or whatever it is. Drown right now is completely useless. So I think that is the correct choice. I don't want... Bro, come on. I need to equip a crying emote. It would fit quite well with me. Okay, so we don't attack. And we should be in pretty good situation. We still didn't get Field of Ruin though. Yep. Unfortunately it costs a lot of mana. Oh, I forgot we cycled the fatal pushes. It's all fine, guys. It's all fine. Smork. Good. So let's think about the blockers. That's for sure. And what do we do with the rest? They still can have some burn in the deck, like at least this. It's and a number of targets, so they can just finish us with this. So I think the correct decision is to block this. Especially we have Shark, we have Yahenni and things like this, so we can work with it. This is also very good with memory, if you can, you know, make it before casting memory. Oh, was it the fairy? Pretty good, pretty good. I think Shark Typhoon is a bit too important to just cycle it, especially for 1. So the enemy is fully on the like aggression plan right now. I think we use this to make a Shark. Like overall, I think Shark is the play right now. So so it means that whatever we play later is excluded from this. So first let's draw. I think Narset will be dead after this turn, and we will use the new, fresh,
Keep an
cooler
open mind.
Narset. And yeah, Fatal Push is great versus Hall of the Storm Giants, and even if the enemy sees it, that's fine. And I feel that we need some power. Like, this is the anti-creature power that we need. Okay. So do we try to kill the token? How important this token is. Like, we still get... This is 4/4, so it doesn't kill our shark. And I completely knew it when copying this deck, because yeah, I knew it, really. So then we have another shark, and we can play Narset and draw. And we still have how much mana? Not enough. But we can play Search for Azcanta, Cling to Dust. So unless enemy has a sweeper and then uses the hole, so let's think they have sweeper. Probably Wrath of God, if they had any, but I don't think this decklist does. So they cannot activate the hole, which is good. So I really think that's the play. It's more mana efficient. And we do it first, so then we make a token with Ashiok. 4/4. All calculated. And let's go with the Narset, because the more Narsets, the happier player you are. So thanks to this play, we got 7 mana worth of sharks, and that was like the main idea behind it. So we skipped a bit more value, I would say, just to get it good. Okay. So we do it like this, and we even have an instant blocker, which can be extremely important. So do we want Search for Azcanta or double? I strongly believe that this turn is very crucial to the winning of the game. So let's leave 2 options and 2 spells instead of 1. Do we read? No, this isn't super scary. So I think we should win this game, thanks to Narset Wombo combo. Oh man, he tapped out completely. And they indeed play it. Nice. We can still target it and make a token. Oh, so 3, 6, so he can tap out completely, but then we can make a token, and he cannot respond in any way after he taps out. So that is like Hail Mary play, and it will fail, thanks to our clever plan. Also, we can target it and not pay the ward cost, then it gets countered, but the token is still here because we cast some spell. So please tap out, please be so nice. And I will draw a card if you don't mind. Oh, I got a token. I guess I will use it to block you. Okay, nice. Yep, and that was the winning play. So as you can see, this was a bit of a weird decision by the enemy. He decided that we cannot deal him like any serious trouble. So he just tapped out completely, enabling us Narset combo on 1 turn, I believe. Yeah, we had it in the graveyard, and we just played Narset and played the other thing. So yeah, pretty good. So as a second player, Fatal Push, very nice. We will take it, and this hand is quite bulky, let's say. I hope we draw into the next land, or we are pretty screwed. Okay, and this, believe me, this is the play. First of all, this is exactly the reason why they use elves like this, because they always want this first turn with a ramp. So that's what we want to avoid. And suddenly the board isn't scary anymore. And the second reason is Drowning the Loch. We want to fuel it somehow. And yes, we could use it, but I really don't want to skip land. Like, we need every land we can get. So that's We won't get better time to play this, so it always hurts at the start of it. And there it is. There it is. A 3 mana 4/4 with haste, I believe. Is it haste? No. Okay, and they didn't discard. Okay, I would prefer non-pain land, but whatever. we will take what we get at this point. And I think we really need some board presence. Like, this is a brick in the wall, and this is the Shaman deck, so it's very likely the 3-drop is coming that will ruin us. Hopefully not, and it seems to not come. Discard creature card, search, reveal, shuffle. Cool. Okay. It's in the board. So we are fine with the memory part, and let's try to not hit a land. Good. So, what is the situation? Like, we have a lot of counter spells. We don't really want to attack with the Svyelun, or whatever it's called, because it's like 6 damage a turn that it helps us with. I could do something main phase, like make a shark and draw, but if we don't hit a land, it will suck. No, you aren't attacking. We much rather counter something, and with search for Azcanta next turn, I really hope we should hit the land. Like, that's what we should account for, that there will be a land next turn. And if the game, I wonder, if he paid for the ability and we still... Oh, we cannot steal, it's 2 mana. But if you can steal this creature before it resolves the ability, I wonder who gets it. Probably him. So he discarded... Yeah, sure, bro. So I would expect 3 mana Shaman that enhances the whole deck. Oh, double trigger. Trigger. Do we counter it? Hard question. This is extremely strong. This is extremely strong card. Or another triggers. If we had a sweeper... Okay, I'm going very risky road. Assuming nothing comes into play for a bit. And we prefer 2 cards instead of 1 card. Enemy also sees that that was our choice, that we could counter it. And please give me a Yahenni Expertise. Okay, now 3 lands. Welcome to Magic. If we got Yahenni, game would be instantly over. We sweep everything, we draw with this, we play Narset for free, then he exiles and we go from there. Currently, not so great. So we are forced into waiting game, and honestly, like, if we don't hit sweeper, we lose this. We need to dig for the sweeper every single turn and hope we have enough time. However, we also need counter spells up, because that gives us time. If we tap out, we get destroyed. With something like this. What? What is triggering? Oh, okay. I thought something from those guys is triggering, and I got scared. So I think Archmage Charm. How many cards they have? 4, so we can counter pretty much everything or remove everything. So this is what we need to do. And with 2 mana, he doesn't pose a great threat. So I'm not super scared about double spell. Yep, and this Merfolk actually saved that enormous amount of HP. Still no sweeper. Still no sweeper, and we cannot even use Narset. Because then we cannot do the other stuff. Like, we could play her, I still have one counter spell, but I fear that we get completely smorged then. And Shark Typhoon defends us while also providing some creatures and value, so we can ambush the enemy a bit. And next turn we flip Azcanta, which is nice, I guess. Okay, that's a very good decision. If we go ham, finding the sweeper, I think they cannot kill us in one turn. Not with counter spell shield. So you know what? Let's go for it, because that really digs up well. Like, no questions asked, so they need to kill us very quickly. Of course, like, why wouldn't it? Okay. We are 1/3 out in the deck, and we drew no Fatal Push and no sweepers. You can hear how happy I am from this. And don't care about this. This didn't happen. Okay, so one Fatal Push. One Fatal Push. Okay, what is the creature? Something we totally don't like. But okay, we will counter it. It's still card for card. And, well, like, prowess can be devastating, but he needs to cast spells and he doesn't have cards, so is it really the most scary thing? I'm confused why he doesn't get this. I think he just wanted to bait my counter spell. And well, I think a lot of people would counter those. And that was his win condition. Good. Still no sweeper. If anyone wondered. No sweeper.
Hone your prowess.
And guess what? No sweeper. What the hell, man. There's no even sense to memory because enemy has 0 cards, so we actually help him. And we erase our turn, which isn't like super great. If we use Azcanta, we cannot play the sweeper. So I think we keep the Shark Typhoon and the counter spell. Enemy sees the counter spell, so he knows. Okay, and that's the attack turn. Smorg. No? Good. That's extremely good for us. Is it the collected company? We will try to bait it. So for this reason I'm using this and not Shark Typhoon. Finally, thank you. Thank you, my friend. And you can see... Yeah, exactly. Okay, finally, after half a deck we got the thing. But, like, man, if he had an instant, I think he can just buff those guys. So this is one of the issues I have with Yahenni. This doesn't remove a lot of creatures, and that's your only sweeper. So at least we have Drowned in the Loch to clean up, or Fatal Push, or Shark Typhoon to try to work around it, but, you know. And Svyelun was such a hero. Without this card we would lose. Alright, we have quite a bit of lands, but we have also a lot of plays. So I'm feeling okay. Drowned in the Loch is very awkward in the start because you really need to kill something before it. And given we drew non-land, I feel that we can comfortably play this as a first land. Yeah. So this is a bit of anti-combo. Thank you, my friend. I'm so happy that they will fill their graveyard. So every game we can still use it as a like 2 mana removal, hopefully, or something like this, or at least in next few turns, because we wouldn't like to miss our two mana play. Like, perfect, my friend. It's just perfect what we are doing. Okay, so we have full value here. So we will use Cling to Dust a bit like later. So it seems to be a burn deck. So we really need to be careful about our life. And at some point maybe we just use it to heal. Oh wow. Oh wow, my dear friend. Maybe you should consider your previous turns. He should be met right now. I would be for sure, but it's nothing new. Do they draw cards? Not much, I think. But at the same time, I think we shouldn't wait with the counter spells. This is a very good turn to play Narset and start getting some value. And this also makes them answer their crimes. Yeah, I think this is better because it's an instant. And they already would have board if they were like totally creature deck, so they are like more burn deck with some occasional burning creature. So Yahenni is just 4 mana Fatal Push as a sorcery. And of course it exiles, so you know, red has the best draw, why wouldn't it? 1 mana, draw 2 cards, whatever happens. Then get a creature with haste and still play a burn. And of course they ignore everything, because why wouldn't they? On the bright side, they played a creature, and that's 3 life. So I'm pretty happy about this part. Ashiok. Ashiok can close the game. Okay, that's a very serious decision. That might be game winning. So we could steal the creature, but then it doesn't die. And I think I won't prefer to get some HP from it. So what do we do? He might activate this, but then he cannot play anything else, so not sure if he wants to burn us or what. They will play around counter spells because it's quite easy. They have the initiative. Like we have 1 Ashiok. Oh man, how do we win if not with Ashiok? With Shark Typhoon, I guess. Hard choice. I won't lie, that was a very hard choice. And I'm not convinced that I have chosen correctly, to be really honest with you guys. And we will see what they will do. I'm not sure. We might play Fatal Push on the bugbear if they activate it and use Shark Typhoon as a token if they want. So this is 3, oh my god, I need to really calculate stuff, like with adding 1 and so on. It's savage. There's X3 plus the number of charge counters. So 4 damage. I think they want to wreck our face with it. So let's see the attacks. Of course Narset is ignored, because why wouldn't you attack face? And I think the correct decision... What is the correct decision? We could just steal it. Then they burn us. And then we can keep up the counter with Fatal Push. Let's try it. Yeah, I know I said the opposite, but we are at 8 HP, and cards he has in the hand is already enough damage, so we really need to play around it somehow. And if he has to, there's nothing we can do, so whatever. We cannot play around so safely. Okay, this doesn't really do much. But we need to be mana efficient, but we have no answer to the den other than Fatal Push, and he knows it. So I think Shark Typhoon for now is what we want. Yep, I think that's the play. And we need to start going off very quickly. Oh, he has 2. So, are you attacking? That's what I thought. Okay, so what do we do? It's non-land, so we cannot do it like like we wanted to. We can for sure play this. That's something we will be needing, and his converted mana cost is always below 4, pretty much. 3 isn't the best, but it draws us a card. And this is like the big thing. We have enough Shark Typhoons that I think we can waste one more. I think that's the first one actually. To give some power into the board. And we still have heal if we need, so that's something. And we have a counter spell, so as long as we aren't threatened on the board, we have a bit of a time. And I think we need Hall of the Storm Giants to be down as quickly as possible. And can we be aggressive? He can only activate one then, and we can kill it. So it means that we can attack with the shark. And because we really need to start doing damage. We could even attack with both because because if he plays something whenever you cast, so even if we counter it, that's bigger. I don't want counter spell down. We could steal the creature, but then if he draws a burn spell, we die. So that's not exactly where you want to be. So it's like insurance for one draw. One perfect draw. Why wouldn't we? I'm pretty sure we need to counter it, especially that we cannot gain life. Here you go. You got it. So at this point, we might just try to kill him. I think we need to go very risky, and I think that's the correct choice because we can heal thanks to this, and this should give us a bit of HP that he cannot draw perfectly, and then we win. Exactly. We managed to pull it out. So the idea was that he really needs to finish the game quite quickly because we have the Hall of the Storm Giants, so that was a very important part of it. And if he activates it, we can just somehow block it using one creature, and then he's tapped out without defending creatures, and this is already 10 damage. With this is 12, so he was like on 2-turn clock. So he had one draw, and if we block something, it's like we are at 6, and he doesn't have cards that deal so much. So good play. That was a very good play, I think.